So we were doing this chapter quality where we have discussed about the two Jessler brothers, and we were about to start with the second paragraph, page number 27, where it is mentioned that, and I would say, how do you do, Mr. Jessler? Could you make a pair of Russia leather boots? Now this was said by the author when he went to him for the second time, or for one time, when he wanted to give him an order for a pair of shoes. Just before this, we remember that in this paragraph we have discussed about, or he has told as an author, that what all problems were faced by the artisans during that time, like living a life, and moreover living a sound life, being able to sell their products and being able to sell their shoes was a tough job during that time. And the way those artisans were trying to manage so as to live a normal life has been explained over here in this paragraph. Now it's written here, and I would say, how do you do, Mr. Jessler? Could you make a pair of Russia leather boots? Now he just went to Mr. Jessler and then asked him that, how are you, Mr. Jessler? Can you please make a pair of Russia leather boots for me? Without a word, he would leave me. Now, without even saying, that was the attitude of there, that without even speaking that, yes, I'm going to make it for you, or I do have the material, raw material and all with me or not. What did he do is, he just went to his workstation. It's written here, without a word he would leave me, retiring whence he came. That means going back to the same from wherever he had come from, or into the other portion of the shop. Now other portion of the shop means he went to the other portion of the shop, and I would continue to rest in the wooden chair. Now he, the customer or he himself, would sit on the wooden chair, rest over there, inhaling the incense smell of his trade. The trade here refers to the business is of shoes and of leather. So basically he was over there sitting and resting and waiting for the person to arrive, one of the Mr. Jessler to arrive and tell whether they are going to make the pair of shoes for them or not. Then it's mentioned over here, soon he would come back. Now who is he over here? One of the Jessler brothers. Soon he would come back, holding in his thin veined hand a piece of gold brown leather. Now soon he will bring the leather also with him, the leather with which he is going to make the shoe, and then he will show it to the customer, bringing down the same leather with which he is has planned or thought of making the shoe ordered by the customer, and says, with eyes fixed on it, he would remark, what a beautiful piece. That means, what a beautiful piece. That's what he wanted to say. So he felt like saying to him that what a beautiful piece it was, when I too had admired it. Now he will, after saying this, what a beautiful piece, Mr. Jessler will wait for what? Waiting for the thing that the customer also should give a response about the piece that he has brought, or about the leather that he has brought. So he'll wait over there. When I too had admired this tells what? That when the customer has also admired the leather, he would speak again. He would again speak out and tell, when do you want them? That means, when do you want these shoes to be made? And I would answer, oh, as soon as you conveniently can. And then he would answer that, I want them as soon as possible, as conveniently you can give them to me. And he would say, tomorrow fortnight. Or if he were his elder brother, I would ask my brother. Now if he was his elder brother, he would always ask that, I will ask my brother. Or otherwise he would tell the day whenever he will be able to give back the pair of shoes. Then I would murmur, thank you, good morning, Mr. Jessler, good morning. Now this he will speak it in that was the way they used to conversate. So he used to speak to him saying, thank you, good morning, Mr. Jessler, good morning. He would reply, good morning. Here refers to good morning. He would reply, still looking at the leather in his hand. That reflects what? The love and the affection that the Jessler brothers had towards the material that they were selling. Plus it also tells about the kind of attachment that they had with the products that they were manufacturing. So that is why it's written over here that he was so very, you can say in a way he was quite very mesmerized at the leather. So he used to hold the leather in his hand as I moved, and it's written here, and as I moved to the door, I would hear his tip tap of his bath slippers restoring him up the stairs to his dream of boots. Now then he would when he would used to return, when the customer used to move towards the door, he could hear the tip tap of the bar slippers. Restoring him means making him go back to the same position, up the stairs, climbing the stairs, and then to the dream of boots. The dream of boots here refers to the workstation where he was working for making those boots. But if it were some new kind of footgear that he had not yet made me, then indeed he would observe ceremony. Like if a customer ordered him to make a special kind of boot which he hasn't made for the customer yet, then he would observe ceremony. Observing ceremony here refers to, like, he would observe it in a very in a like a very customary way, touching everything and trying to make out what can be the situation where he will feel it better, or the portion where the person might feel hurt wearing the shoe. Divesting me of my boot and holding it long in his hand, looking at it with eyes at once critical and loving. Now what will he do is, like, he will try to divest his boot. Divest means like taking his boot. That means the boot one was the customer which he was already wearing. What will he do is, he'll just take that boot in his hand, holding it long. Then he would hold that boot for a long span of time in his hand, looking at it with eyes. Then he will look at that same boot with his eyes, and at once critical and loving. That means in a way at once he was trying to criticize that this is something which is to be done improved, or this is something which I need to work on, and then loving also the way and the beauty of the boot, and plus the way it on the basis of its comfort, fit and everything, as if recalling the glow with which he has created it. That means he would also love looking at that pair of boot, just recalling the way he has created the boot and the love and care that he has taken so as to create that boot. So it's written here, recalling the glow with which he has created it, and rebuking the way in which one has disorganized the masterpiece. And also he would scold the person if he is wearing it in a very casual or careless manner, and due to which the boot has got disorganized also. Then placing my foot on a piece of paper. Now what he used to take is, every time if a customer offers a new pair of boots and moreover a new kind of boots, he would always like take every kind of measurement so as to make it a perfect fit. So for that, what he used to do is, then placing my foot on a piece of paper, he would 2 or 3 times tickle the outer edges with a pencil. Now he'll just like make a frame or with the help of his pencil, and pass his nervous fingers over his toes, and he will also pass his own fingers over the toes of the customer, feeling himself into the heart of my requirements. And this was actually a way he was able to feel the art, feel the requirement of the customer. I cannot forget that day on which I had occasion to say him, Mr. Jessler, the last pair of town walking boots creaked, you know. Now he cannot forget that day on which I had occasion to say to him, Mr. Jessler, the last pair of town walking boots creaked. Now occasion to say here means what is that he had got a chance. He had got a chance to say this to Mr. Jessler, that the last pair of town walking boots that were there, they have actually creaked, you know. He wanted to actually, in a way, was telling him that the pair of shoes actually have creaked. He looked at me for a time without replying. Now, this was the way he used to look. Like if a customer used to complain him for something, then he would look at the customer for a span of time, staring at him just to make sure and expect that the customer should draw back his complaint. So he says, as if expecting me to withdraw or qualify the statement, then said, it shouldn't have grieved. That means it shouldn't have grieved. That means it shouldn't have creaked. He says that it shouldn't have creaked. I'm sure it did. I'm afraid. And then he said that of course it did. It has creaked. I'm sure. I'm afraid. You got them when? Before they found them. Now he is actually trying to say that you got them wet before they found themselves. That means you have got them wet before they found themselves. That means you have actually got them wet. That is why they must have creaked. I didn't think so. Now he says that no, I don't think so that I didn't get them wet. At that he lowered his eyes as if hunting for memory of those boots. Then he used to like lower down his eyes, trying to search and think about those boots. I felt sorry I had mentioned this grave thing, and then the author also felt really sorry that why has he mentioned that thing. Grave thing means that serious thing. Then see the way he talked, saying send them back. That means send them back to me. He said, I'll look at them, analyze them, what was the problem. A feeling of compassion for my creaking boots surged up in me. So well could I imagine the sorrowful long curiosity of regard with which he would bend on them. Now, there was a curiosity in the mind of the author. On the other hand, there was a sorrowful long curiosity in the mind of the Jessler brothers, as he would bend down his head, getting to know that what had happened with those shoes. And then he said, some boots here refers to some boots, he said slowly, are bad from birth. That means they are actually made worst only from birth only. If I can do nothing with them, I would take them off your bill. Now he says, if I cannot do anything with them, or if I cannot improve them or repair them, I would take them off from your bill. That means I will just reduce them, the charges of the same shoes from your bill. Once only, I went absent-mindedly into his shop in a pair of boots bought in an emergency at some large firm. Now, once what had happened is he had in a need of emergency, he had to buy a pair of shoes from a very large firm, and then he had gone into his shop also unknowingly into his shop. And then he says he took my order without showing me any leather, and I could feel his eyes penetrating the inferior integument of my foot. Now he even did not show him any leather when he went to give him an order. He did not this time show him any leather also. Plus the way he was looking at the shoe that were made from some other firm, he could not he was really feeling uncomfortable for the fact that how was that possible that the author has bought a new pair of shoes from some other firm, plus they were of not that good quality as he used to make them. So he says, those are not my boots. That means that's what he would remark, saying that they are not my boots, I'm sure. The tone was not one of anger, nor of sorrow, not even of contempt, but there was in it something quite that froze the blood. Now that the tone was not of anger, that means he was not showing his anger that I do not like that, why have you bought shoes from somewhere else and all those kind of things. He just put his hand down and pressed a finger on the place where the left boot, endeavoring to be fashionable, was not quite comfortable. Now what did he do is he just put the left hand on at the very place where the boot was looking to be very beautiful, but it was actually hurting him a lot. So he just looked at it. It hurts you here, and then he says that I hope it hurts you here somewhere. He said, those big firms have no self-respect. That means those big firms have got no self-respect. Trash. And then, as if something had given way within him, he spoke long and bitterly. Now, as if he has got a chance to speak out, or something was there in his heart all the time he was not speaking. So he started to speak very bitterly, and that to a very long span of time. It was the only time I have ever heard him discuss the conditions and the hardships of his trade, and during that time only he has heard the conditions and the hardships that the artisans were facing during that time. Now in this paragraph he has described about the way, or he has himself described what kind of problems they were facing as artisans during that particular period of time. They get it all. Means they get it all, he said. They get it by advertisement. That means what do they get is they get profits and they get customers only by advertisement, not by work. They do not get customers and advertisement and profits by work, but they get it by advertisement. They take it away from us. And then also what happens is that due to this, what do they do is, because they are able to make shoes early and more fashionably, so that is why they actually you can say it's a kind of a poaching kind of a process, where they actually poach the customers of the artisans who love our boots. That means those people who loved their boots, they were actually taken away by the other big firms. It comes to them comes to this, presently I have no work. And then he tells, now it has come to such a situation now that I have got no work. Every year it gets less. That means every year my customers start to get lesser and lesser, and then ultimately it reduces my profits, you will see. And looking at his lined face, I saw things I have never ever noticed before, bitter things and bitter struggle. That reflected his facial expression, reflected a bitter things in his face which he has never ever seen. And what a lot of grey hairs there seemed suddenly in his red beard. Now, the grey hairs available in his red beard reflected what? The pain and the sufferings which were, they are actually symbolic of the pain and sufferings which the artisans were facing during that time. Of course, it also defines their age in literary terms, but it actually defines the pain and sufferings faced by them. As best I could, I explained the circumstances of purchase of those ill-omened boots. Now, the best thing that he could do was that he just tried to explain why has he bought those ill-omened boots during the time of some kind of emergency. But his face and voice made so deep impression that during the next few minutes, I ordered many pairs. Now, he was so very impressed, and moreover, he was so much touched by his heart, in his heart somewhere, that he ordered many number of pairs during the same time. Nemesis fell, and then of course he says challenges are always there. Nemesis refers to challenges. That means he says they lasted more terribly than ever, and I was not able consciously to go to him for nearly 2 years. And then of course, like, he was not even able to go to him for a span of around 2 years. When at last I went, I was surprised to find the outside one of the 2 little windows of his shop, another name was painted, also that of a bootmaker, making of course for the royal family. Now, after 2 years, when he went back to his shop, what he found is that those 2 little shops were actually now again separated, where the little window of the shop had another name on it, and that means the other part of the shop was bought by someone, and on that it was the name of a royal family was also mentioned. That means there was a name of a royal customer mentioned in that board. The old familiar boots, no longer in dignified isolation, were huddled in the single window. Now, there were no old familiar boots which he usually used to see, so he could not find those old boots which he usually used to see in his window inside the now contracted well of the one little shop. Contracted well here means what? He is calling it as a well because it was quite very dark enough, and a smaller one, the space was lesser. So he says inside the now contracted well of one little shop was more scented. It was more scented means it was more smelling now, because of lesser space it was smelling more and darker than ever, and it was longer than usual. It was longer than usual means that longer than usual too before a face peered down. It means if a face or if a person had to come and meet his customer, now it took a longer span of time to meet the customer. Now, why was that possible is that the reason for this is just because that when you talk about this particular situation, it was that there was so very less space that maybe there were things all scattered, and due to which the Jesler brothers took time from coming down from the workstation and then meet the customer. So it took a longer span of time now. And the tip tap of the bar slippers began. At last he stood before me and, gazing through those rusty iron spectacles, said, "Mister, isn't it?" "Ah, Mr. Jesler," I stammered, "but your boots are really too good, you know. See, these are quite decent still." Now he tells that these are so very good still. And I stretched out to him my foot. He looked at it. "Yes," he said, "people do not want good boots, it seems." Now it again shows what? He was trying to tell the reason, or it again reflects the pain and suffering in his heart somewhere, that still the people do not want good quality boots. They just want boots or shoes which are made of fashion and nothing else. To get away from his reproachful eyes and voice, I hastily remarked, "What have you done to your shop?" Now he just wanted not to discuss on that matter about the artisans, the problems that were faced by the artisans. So he just said, "What have you done to your shop?" He answered quietly, "It was too expensive. Do you want some boots?" And then he said it was very expensive. Maybe he must have hired it, and those 2 shops were quite very expensive for him to bear. So therefore he says that, "Do you want something?" I ordered 3 pairs, though I had only wanted 2, and quickly left. I do not know quite what feeling of being part in his mind of conspiracy against him, or not perhaps so much against him as against his idea of boot. One does not, I suppose, care to feel like that, for it was again many months before my next visit to the shop, to his shop, paid, I remember, with the feeling, oh well, I can't leave the old boy, so here goes, perhaps it'll be his elder brother. Now, what had happened is he ordered 3 pairs to him, though he only just wanted 2, and then quickly left from there. I do not know quite what feeling of being part in his mind. Now, he was not knowing what kind of feeling was in his mind when he was a part of his shop and being a part of his customer list of a conspiracy against him, or not perhaps, like he was quite feeling in a way as if was he conspiring against him, that he was not able to frequently visit his shop and was not able to make him easy profits, or earn easy profits and all those things. So it's written here, oh well, I can't leave the old boy, so there goes, perhaps it will be his elder brother. Now he was just talking to him, so he felt as if he was talking to the elder brother. For his elder brother, I knew, had not character enough to reproach me even dumbly. He never used to reproach. And to my relief, in the shop, there did appear to be his elder brother handling a piece of leather. Now, there was his elder brother present over there, holding a piece of leather, or handling means taking care of a piece of leather. Well, Mr. Jessler, I said, how are you? Now, he just said, how are you, Mr. Jessler? He came close and peered at me. He looked at him. I am pretty well. I am pretty well means I am pretty well, he said slowly, but my elder brother is dead. Now, that was not his actually the elder brother, though that the author was feeling. It was his younger one, and he said that I'm quite fine, but my elder brother is no more. And I saw that it was indeed himself, but how aged and wan. Now he just felt that how aged and wan means destroyed he looked like. And never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, oh, I'm sorry. Now it was the first time that he has himself mentioned his own brother, so he really felt sorry for it. Yes, he answered, he was a good man, he made a good boot, but he is dead. And he touched the top of his head where the hair had suddenly gone. This is the appearance, and again it reflects the gruesome reality of the artisan, because of lack of food and lack of proper lifestyle. They were not able to live a good life. So it's written here, where the hair had suddenly gone, as thin as it has become on that of his poor brother. Now he has also lost those hairs on his head, as it was the case with his elder brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of death. Now that was maybe the cause of his death. That means actually reflected what? That his age was passing by, on and on. He could not get over losing the other shop. That means he told that what had happened, that's why he has lost his life and all. So he tells that he was actually in a state of shock, as he was not able to get out of the shock of losing the other shop. Do you want any boots? And he held up the leather in his hand. It's a beautiful piece. And then he again held up a leather in his hand, a piece of leather in his hand, and said that, see, that's such a beautiful piece of leather I have got. I ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. Now, he ordered number of pairs of boots, but they came after a very long span of time, but they were quite very, very of a fine quality. One simply could not wear them out, and soon after that, I went abroad. That means one simply cannot wear them in such a way that they get worn out very